Hello and welcome back to my channel. This week we are talking about nonfiction. It is a gloomy, very rainy day here, but that feels normal for November. What doesn't feel normal for November in Chicago is that it's 55 degrees, but you know, it is what it is. Global warming, I guess. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is my reading for the week. I also did a used bookstore sale. I was driving and I happened to drive by a bookstore sale where all the books were 50% off. So of course I had to make a purchase there. First book I'm going to tell you about, actually, I didn't do any vlogging for, but I absolutely loved it. This book is incredible. It is There's Always This Year on Basketball and Ascension by Hanif Abdurraqib. And frankly, I didn't know much about this other than it was his memoir and that it was on Obama's best books of whatever year, I guess 2024. And some of my trusted recommendation sources, like Liz is Reading, was talking about it, and Brett's Book Stack, they both said that they really loved it. So I was curious. I was also going to a NBA basketball game, and I thought, let me just throw this on. And it is very hard to describe, because it's a memoir, and while yes, it's about basketball, it's about so much more than basketball. Hanif is also a poet, so it's very lyrical, and I just was so struck by the way he constructed sentences. He talked about things and put together ideas that I would never consider to connect, and there it is on the page. But when I hear it or read it, it just makes perfect sense. This is a book that I find myself wanting to get a physical copy of so I can annotate, take notes. The structure is really interesting. It's broken up like a basketball game. So you have pregame, quarters, halftime, and it slowly unravels, and as you're reading it, you just kind of figure out what the bigger picture is. This is actually a book about grief. It's not just basketball, but I thought this was incredible. I will definitely be reading his other books at some point. They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us, which is about music, and A Little Devil in America, which is about history. But I highly recommend this one, 5 stars. Also, highly recommend the audio. He narrates it and has a great audio narration voice. We also have a guest this week, Tracy from the Stacks, who is absolutely incredible. If you like nonfiction, she's a great follow. She's got a website, Substack, and of course her podcast. She always has some really interesting guests on, and Hannah and I had just the best time talking to her. She was so funny, so down to earth, and I am excited for y'all to listen. So I'll definitely link that episode in my show notes here so you can listen to that if you haven't already. Everything is half price today. Well, the small town that I stopped through, I saw a sign and it said book sale. So of course I went in, and when I went in, everything was 50% off. I need more books, like I need another hole in my head, but I had to stop. I got all of these for $10.40. So let me show you what I got. I got My Sweet Audrina by V.C. Andrews because I heard it's absolutely fucked up. And these books just remind me of my childhood. I mean, I know of Flowers in the Attic, but I wanted to try this one because I heard this is equally as disturbing. I got The Other Daughter by Shalini Boland. This is a psychological thriller, and I just know the author. I've seen her around TikTok, or I've seen people recommend her books around TikTok, so I thought I would grab it. I got Braiding Sweetgrass, which is a book that I had on my list. I am so excited to read it. Basically, she asks questions about nature. She's trained in science, and I figure if I ever need to go off the grid, this is going to be a helpful book to have a physical copy of. I bought When You Find Me by PJ Vernon. He wrote the book Bath House, which I absolutely adored. I think this one is his debut. And finally, I got The Magician by Colm Tóibín. I read Brooklyn and Long Island this year, really enjoyed them. And I'm just realizing that this is an ARC, so, you know, not legal to sell, but whatever. Anyway, gotta go. The other book I'm telling you about this week is The Devil of Unrest by Erik Larson. I enjoyed this one. This takes place right in between Lincoln's election and the Civil War. It was a very interesting read, particularly to be reading it right now in November 2024, but I will drop in my live thoughts just after I finished it here next. Well, I've done it. I crossed Mount Everest, or climbed Mount Everest. I finished The Demon of Unrest by Erik Larson, and I liked it. I think it's a really excellent, well-researched look at the time between Lincoln's election and the start of the Civil War. It's very dense. I appreciate that he drew parallels between today's government and, what's happening in present day and what happened in the Civil War. And it did give me a little bit of a sense of peace in terms of, hey, we've been through hard things before, but it took me a while. I really liked the audio. I definitely recommend that because I would not have gotten through it without the audio. Will Patton's the narrator, but that's about it. I'm waiting at pickup today and I got some book mail, so I thought let's open it together. You will have to let me know if you like book mail shots, because I get a lot of book mail, which is my favorite thing. I only want to do things that are interesting to you all, so if you want to see the books that I get on a weekly basis, happy to add them to the vlog. I'm nosy, so I always like to see what people are getting, but I need to get a letter opener or something. There we go. Okay, so the book that we received today. This is my number one most anticipated book. I'm gonna cry. I'm like not, I'm so happy. This is my number one most anticipated book. I literally said the words to Hannah or somebody, if I somehow get my hot little hands on this book, I will drop everything and read it immediately. So I feel like I have to do that. It is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. It comes out in March 2025, but I don't care. I have to read it. I'm so thankful. Oh my God. Thank you, Flatiron. You made my day. But now I have this dilemma, which is so silly and so like insular, but my problem is, what if I read this in 2024 and I love it? Can I count a 2025 book in my favorites of 2024 that I've read? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if? But I can't wait. So I'm going to have to read this. I'm so happy. And I'm so glad I was filming. How random. It says, "Dear reader, a family on a remote island. A mysterious woman washed ashore. A rising storm on horizon. Enclosed, you'll find a copy of Charlotte McConaughey's new novel." How mysterious. And then I have this too that they included. And I don't know what this is. It says plant to grow flowers. So it looks like there's like dried flower seeds on here, which, what a nice touch. I will definitely be planting that. My family and I do what I call a chaos garden every year. Basically, I just dump a bunch of wildflower seeds in our garden and see what comes up. But I'm so happy. And it matches my outfit, matches my nails. I feel like this is destiny.